From epic landscapes to urban chaos, there are 10 maps that define Battlefield 6, each offering its own identity, strengths, and flaws. Today we're going to be breaking down each map's art style, flow, and design, and by the end we'll have a complete ranked list. And for this critique, we're going to be approaching each map through its layout that's available on Conquest. I feel like that's the most logical way to critique a Battlefield map. So starting off, number one, we have Blackwell Fields, which is kind of funny because this is a controversial map, I feel like, in the community. People either love it or hate it. And the map is set in this California desert. The intense sunset mixed with the dust, fire, and black smoke on this map gives it this really cool kind of apocalyptic wasteland type of vibe. You know, the road kind of runs through the middle of the map, east to west, so it kind of splits the map north and south. On the north, you have this hilly landscape, really fun for DMR and sniper play. And then to the south of that road, you're going to have this oil field area with various buildings and objectives. Overall, the map is fun. I feel like it really focuses terrain, which is nice because most of the maps in this game struggle to focus on terrain. They're very urban and, you know, focusing on like interior spaces, streets, alleyways. So I really enjoy Blackwell Fields because it adds variety to the game. The map flow is pretty difficult since it is very open, and the vehicles and snipers just make infantry flow a little difficult on this map. My favorite aspect of the map is definitely going to be the hills, ridgeline fighting, and it's really the only map in the game that offers that. So my least favorite thing about this map is that many of the points of interest or flag objectives are just boring. I will say this map feels like it was heavily designed for breakthrough because the first and final objectives are the best, and those are on the sides of the map closest to the spawns in Conquest, so they get played the least. And I think I'm gonna have to go C tier with it. You know, it's nothing that stands out to me as this incredibly inspiring map. It feels fun to play Recon and Sniper, but that's really about it. All right, guys, next up with Eastwood. So the art and theme for this map is very nice. It's this beautiful, bright, sunny, vibrant colors. Birds are chirping, the sun's out, and it's in this wealthy upscale neighborhood that's adjacent to a country club golf course. Although it's an incredibly detailed map with very immersive aspects, the map fails to have a unique or exciting playable feature to it, and therefore I think the map is lacking depth. The amount of eye candy on this map is insane. There's so many different objects and cover elements and architecture and types of trees and alleyways and all of these details that are really a good eye candy. It makes the map look good, but when you strip all of that away and just look at the design, it is a rather poor design. For the map flow, it was clearly intended for breakthrough. You start on the left of this map in the west side. It's like this urban neighborhood that's such a cool area, and then it really doesn't get action much again in Conquest because it's not in the mid part of the map. The main POI center of the map is this underwhelming clubhouse interior country club type of space. It offers pretty predictable fights and boring angles. Once again, it looks really good, but it's kind of boring to play in for a multiplayer FPS. There's nothing really exciting or unique about the area. And another thing that was a big miss for me is there's this really elaborate path kind of walkway system, either for the golfers or the golf carts to drive around. There's like ponds with bridges and all of these cool areas next to the golf course, but those areas never really get foot traffic in Conquest maps, so it's kind of all just wasted, which is really unfortunate. I think my favorite thing about this map is going to be how nice and bright the map looks. It's very vibrant and colorful, which I appreciate. And my least favorite thing is that it's kind of just a linear map with a bunch of really good detail, and the art team killed it. But as far as, you know, making it exciting or inspiring, it fails to hit that mark in my opinion and plays rather blandly. And I'm going to put it in D tier. I think this map needs some work, and I would consider it a below average map. It just doesn't play that fun in this game. All right, guys, next up we have Empire State. So this map is in a suburban New York area. It's like an afternoon with this intense sunlighting. It's almost golden hour, set in this like neighborhood commercial downtown urban setting. So you have all these really cool shops and alleyways, and funny enough on this map there's a little, I wouldn't consider it an Easter egg, but it shows the attention to detail the art team does in Battlefield games. You can walk into this electronics store right here, and on the monitor it's going to say there's been like news report, there's an earthquake. It's like an 8 or 9.0 magnitude, crazy big earthquake. And you can notice the destruction on this map is due to that earthquake. So the bridge is all collapsed and broken. And then towards the enemy spawn on the east side of the map, there's a freeway overpass that's completely destroyed. So that level of detail is really awesome. Again, the art teams did a phenomenal, like 10 out of 10 job with the setting, the architecture, the detail, even things like the sidewalks and the street signs. There's a bunch of really cool graffiti found all throughout the map, which is just an iconic street feature of New York City. So the map flow is kind of interesting on this map. The only areas I really play when I'm on this map is going to be mid. And I wish that wasn't the case, because the west and east side of this map is so awesome and well designed, but it's just a bad area to put yourself in. You're too vulnerable due to just so many different angles, areas to rat in, different windows. There's a lot of windows to cover on this map. So if you go in those areas, you kind of just are accepting that you most likely are going to die from someone that's just impossible to account for. And my favorite thing on this map is definitely going to be the buildings that have the flag objectives in mid. I think they're the best designed interior areas in all of Battlefield 6. There's multiple levels, there's windows, there's a sky bridge connecting the two buildings. The flag below the sky bridge has cover, yet you can engage people from high ground. It's just a really fun, high octane area to fight in. There's like an art exhibition going on that's talking about jazz music and architecture and these various artists that were actually very influential for those genres. So that's really cool. Any of the fine arts enjoyers out there, you guys have probably already noticed this, but I think that's an awesome attention to detail as well. And my least favorite thing about this map is probably just going to be, again, I really wish they could redesign the west and east side of the area just to be more comfortable to play and fight in, because they are such cool areas, but they're just missing action somehow. Something needs to be changed on them. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. They're super underutilized in Conquest, and I really wish they could be utilized, because those New York streets, it's such a cool concept for an urban combat area. It's just, we need to redesign those areas for it to be fully playable. So with that being said, I do think this map is above average for the Battlefield 6 map pool. I don't think it's an A tier map, because A tier is near flawless, and I talked about an apparent flaw in my opinion, which is wasted space due to poor design. So I think I'm going to put it in B tier. I think it's above average, but there is a few things that I would think with some proper changing would make this map really, really phenomenal. Overall, I'm going to put it in B tier, and I think it has the best interior spaces in the game. All right, guys, so next up we have Mirak Valley. Now, this is another landscape-focused map, and it's set in this countryside, featuring some war-torn towns, open landscapes, and then a construction site in mid. Again, the art team did a really nice job capturing this beautiful landscape, the colors of the trees, plants, very nice. And then you have this construction site on mid, which in my opinion is just such an eyesore, and it's such a sad thing to see on this map. We'll get into that in a little bit. Overall, I think the art and the look of this map is very nice. I think it would have been cool to see like some kind of river or a bit more just hilly, rocky terrain would have been nice. Overall, the flow on this map can be fun, but vehicles really can dominate, as well as recon players, again, since it's such an open map. I personally think the construction site at B&D takes away almost all of the beauty and essence of this map. Clearly, this map is intended to be larger scale, landscape, open, but then they threw in B&D as these just construction sites, which I'm so sick of seeing in shooter games. I think it's a really boring and kind of lazy way to design a point of interest on a map. Feels kind of unoriginal. It feels uninspiring. My favorite thing on this map is playing between C and E. It's a fun area, you know, bushes in between trees and like a woods, behind rocks on open paved roads. That's what makes this map feel fun for me. And then my least favorite thing, I've already said it, it's just the B&D eyesore of this map. The construction site feels misleading. It feels inorganic to the thesis of the map design. So with all of that being said, I still do enjoy the map, and I do think it's an above average map for the Battlefield 6 map pool, and I'm going to put it in B tier. All right, next up we have New Sobek City, which we were just talking about briefly. This map's interesting. I think it's pretty horrific overall. No offense to the design team, but what were you guys doing? All right. I really am at a loss for words with this map. So conceptually, it sounds like a really cool idea. Let's make a map focused around the outskirts of Egypt, and it's a city under construction. What an inspiring concept. I mean, that idea alone sounds like it could be phenomenal, but the execution of this map really is I'm gonna say abysmal. The theme and art of this map, you can say it's very bland, but I think it actually works because a construction site in a desert is going to be red hues, red and orange, gold glows, a lot of dirt, clay, sand, dust. But the thing is that a construction site is just uninspiring to begin with. There's no decorative ornamental aspects to it. Everything's unfinished. So when you have a map like that, you really need to design something in the map to be fun for the users. There's not a single map in this game that has subterranean elements to it. Why is there not some kind of underground system to allow for flanks? Because for me on this map, one of the biggest problems are the vehicles. If you're caught between A and C or C and E, it's just kind of GG's. You're either dead to a vehicle or dead to a recon player. The map is kind of laid out in this very apparent grid system. The roads and pathways on this map create this kind of cell-like structure, and I feel like they really could have capitalized on that and made each area feel unique or special, but really the map just feels like this kind of continuous failure. I'm gonna just stop right there and just automatically it has to go into F tier, guys. I have nothing good to say about this map. I think it really should just be reworked or just taken out of the game. It's that bad. All right, guys, next up we have Iberian Offensive. This map's pretty cool. So it's set in this kind of residential apartment area. You have these narrow pedestrian footpaths used for flank routes, and of course there's like these paved vehicle roads. Stucco, stone, and concrete colors are mixed with this luscious green flora, and it's used to create a really nice color palette that feels natural and organic. So I really enjoy the color palette on this map, and the textures are not too distracting, but they add a nice level of depth. There's like these different rock textures, grass, paved roads, concrete. It looks really nice all together visually. The flow on this map is pretty amazing for infantry. Many of the available paths you can use to get to one area, so there's usually 3 or more ways to get wherever you want to go. And the flags are spread out enough to where it takes a little bit of work to get to each flag, but it's not right next to each other. So the pacing on this map is really fun, and it has a nice organic feel to it. The map is mostly sub 20 meter engagements, but there are some longer lanes available to mix things up. My favorite thing on this map is definitely going to be the momentum and pacing. Rushing objectives solo or as a squad feels really fun. My least favorite thing is that every lobby more or less plays the same on this map. It's the same kind of pattern, the same kind of flows, but overall it's still pretty fun. I think if I were to rate this map, it would be another above average map. It's really close to an A tier map. For me, there's not really a flaw. It's just that it gets kind of boring. You play a round or two on the map and you're like, I'm good on that for the day because it's just so fast paced. But I was going to go B, but now that I'm thinking about it live right now, I think it might be an A tier map, and I'm pretty confident with that, so we're gonna leave it there. All right, guys, so next up we have Manhattan Bridge. Again, it's another urban New York style map. I think it's set in Brooklyn, and I really enjoy the color palette and brightness on the map, but the art and design on this map is really impressive. I mean, it's a very detailed, immersive map. For me, the foot flow on this map is pretty fun. I really enjoyed the street layout. When you just analyze how the streets and alleyways are designed, it looks really good, and I enjoy it quite a bit. If I were to change the things I don't like on this map, I would eliminate a lot of the windows that are playable. I think there are a bit too many windows on this map. And then the other thing I don't like is the high ground at B. I think it's a bit too strong. What I would have proposed as a designer is to eliminate the rooftop aspect and just make B in the exact same building and spot, but just on the 3rd or 2nd floor of that building. And I think this map would play a lot better. My favorite thing about it is the street design. I think the streets are laid out in a really fun way, but unfortunately the windows and the high ground rooftop aspects kind of kill the street design. I think this map would be a lot more successful if it focused less on verticality and was more flat and everyone was kind of forced to play on the same ground level. I really want to put it in like a B tier map because it is a really good design. It's just there are some flaws that really hurt the map overall. So the flaws make it a below average map, and I think it's going to be in D tier, unfortunately. Next up, we have Liberation Peak. The art and setting for this map is really nice. It's this dramatic mountainside. You have these snow-capped mountains, rocky terrain, and the map is designed well for both air and infantry, which I think is awesome. The small town at D offers a little taste of some urban combat, whereas every other point is kind of a bit more focused focused on mid to long range. I think this map does offer the best versatility in the game in terms of the classes you can play as well as the weapons you can play. So in my opinion, that accessibility to everything in the game keeps it really fresh. My favorite thing is definitely going to be the versatility and uniqueness to be able to play close, mid, long range, use whatever guns and operators you want. I think it's really fun. My least favorite thing is that I feel like this map was held back a bit. The terrain could have been a bit more dramatic. They could have scaled things up a bit. When we look at terrain in maps from Battlefield 2042 like Breakaway or Exposure, we saw some of the most insane, beautiful landscapes, and I feel like Battlefield 6 is really being calm and limiting with how they use landscapes in their map design, and to me that's a little disappointing. So with all that being said, I do think this is an A-tier map. All right guys, so next up we have Siege of Cairo, and this map of course is set in the streets of Cairo, so it's this super urban awesome map. Intense combat and elements such as long streets, tight footpaths, apartment interiors, marketplaces, and even palaces and courtyards. In my opinion, this map has the most intelligent foot flow in the game. There are just multiple ways to get around to wherever you need to go. A very clearly intelligent design that was a passion project on the design team. You can tell the designers that worked on this were very passionate about this design and really iterated and tested and accounted for possibilities with this map. So overall, I think this map is nearly flawless, and I honestly think it's by far uncomparably the best map in the game. And I think Siege of Cairo is actually the single best design element to come out of Battlefield 6. All right guys, and lastly we have Operation Firestorm. So this isn't really a new map, they just brought it back, and you know, the art and stuff on this map is pretty cool. You're set in this, you know, desert kind of refinery area. You have various warehouse buildings, that B and A, that are fun to play on infantry. C is going to be that refinery area that feels, you know, it's like a bit industrial. There's some verticality to it. And then of course, spawn area is going to have a mountainside to get, you know, 1,000+ meter snipes on. So those long range snipers can pick each other throughout the match. E and D are going to be south side of the mid road that divides the map into two. And they're pretty tough objectives to rotate between. You can definitely try to get the cross, but most of the vehicles, tanks, and assault vehicles usually like to hang out in there, so good luck trying to rotate around there as infantry. It's a really fun map for vehicles. Infantry, it's going to be tough, and I would recommend sticking to the north side of that road if you're an infantry player. I do think this is a good map for the map pool. I think it's an average map. I really do. I think if they were able to design something new or exciting, it easily would have been B tier, and I want to put it in B tier, but I also don't because, dude, this map is so old and they didn't try to implement anything new on it really. In my opinion, that's just kind of lazy, especially for a game like Battlefield 6 where they had all this time to develop and work on the game. They didn't really try to do anything new on this map, so that's a pretty big design failure in my opinion. And this is going to be my final tier list for the game, guys. It's pretty interesting to look at on the graph like this. So again, if you guys enjoyed this video, thanks for watching. And the link to this list actually will be in the description, so you guys can use it on your own videos or make your own if you want. All right. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good rest of your day.